So Star Rail has been out for, I think, about 2 weeks now. I don't know exactly how many days it's been. It's been about 2 weeks. I'm currently account rank 39, and I should be hitting 40 tomorrow, which will unlock some stuff. And I have finished all of the story that is currently available in the game on 2 accounts. On top of doing, I believe, like pretty much every side quest in the game on my main account. So I was originally planning on doing some Let's Play style videos of Honkai, just showing my gameplay of playing through the game. But after recording my first session of the game, I decided, instead of taking the time to edit and upload these videos, I just want to keep playing the game. So I didn't bother recording anything after my first session. So I'll probably just throw that gameplay in the background here as I talk about Star Rail. So Star Rail is essentially, if you took Genshin, removed the open world, made it a linear game, and gave it turn-based combat instead. And then you have Star Rail with a sci-fi setting instead of a fantasy setting. A lot of stuff in Star Rail is just like in Genshin, including a lot of the UI. I'm pretty sure the summoning system is exactly the same, at least for characters. The weapon banner, or the light cone banner, might be different. I haven't paid any attention to exactly how that works at all. But I believe the character banners work exactly the same. Oh, and another thing is the freaking, like, guaranteed 5 stars that you can get. So this game also has a beginner banner, but instead of doing 20 summons on it, you do 50. But after 50, you're guaranteed to get a standard 5-star character. And I really wish this is something Genshin would do. Like, just put a guaranteed 5-star character on that second multi you can do on the beginner banner in Genshin. And on top of having that, they also have a 5-star selector when you do a total of 300 summons on the standard banner, which is also just like a really nice thing. So if there is that standard character you really want, you eventually have a guaranteed way to get them, which is yet another problem that Genshin has and has done absolutely nothing to fix it. You know, that there's no way to guaranteed get a standard banner character that you want. You could play the game for years and not get, like, Diluc or Keqing or whoever the heck you want off the standard banner. I mean, heck, I think I got Keqing when I started the game. Keqing was the standard 5-star character I wanted the most, and she ended up being the last one that I got after playing the game for more than 2 years. And, like, all the stuff you can do with your characters in terms of upgrades is basically exactly the same as in Genshin. You have light cones in place of weapons. You have your relics in place of artifacts. You have eidolons, or however you pronounce that, instead of constellations. And they're all essentially the exact same thing. There are a few minor differences, but nothing too big. You know, it even takes the same amount of currency to do a summon, I believe, 160. One thing that is really nice to see, but at the same time is kind of annoying to see, is the amount of quality of life improvements that Star Rail has that Genshin does not. Things that people have been asking for Genshin to have, and 2.5 years later still doesn't have it, but Star Rail does. Right? Like having shield bars. Also, another really nice thing about the world is having all of the characters, all of the playable characters exist in the world somewhere at all times for you to talk to, which is another thing people have been asking for in Genshin that it still does not do. The whole conflicting quest thing, you know, in Genshin when you have like 2 quests that share a character and it's like you have to do this other quest because this character's busy or whatever. Well, in this game, if you navigate a quest, it prioritizes it. Like, it's so nice to see. It's like, why doesn't Genshin have this? This is exactly what they should do in Genshin. If you navigate a quest, it should just prioritize any involved characters to that quest over other quests. I don't know why they don't do that in Genshin. So far the story of the game has been pretty good. There's currently like 3 regions, I guess I'll call them, in the game. The first one being the Herta space station, which is kind of like the tutorial zone, essentially. And the story at the beginning is pretty confusing because you don't really know what's going on. You're just thrown into this, stuff's happening. So I think like during the whole time I was playing through the Herta space station, I had no idea what was going on. It was all very confusing. But once you finish with that, you go to the Astral Express, and the real game essentially starts from there. So the first world you go to is Eurilo 6, and I won't go into specifics on the story to avoid spoilers, but what I do want to say is that the finale for Eurilo 6 was, for me, a better experience than anything in Genshin. And then there's the third region, which is currently unfinished, so I can't judge the whole story, but from what's in the game currently, it's very interesting. I mean, like, literally, like, as soon as you start that section of the story, you're immediately given a cutscene. You get this cutscene that was such a strong hook, like, immediately, just this quick cutscene plays, and I'm already hooked into the story for the next region. So, the story and writing has been really good so far. I've really been enjoying it. And it's really nice to see that all of the playable characters get their time to shine in the story. I believe all playable characters currently in the game do appear in the story somewhere. Oh, another thing about the writing is just how much comedy there is in this game, just everywhere. It's like it's in the main story, it's in the side quests, it's in like random interactions you have with things just in the environment, like all the trash cans and whatnot. There's so many things you can do that just have funny writing behind them, and it's just really entertaining to just interact with random things, whether it be NPCs or just objects in the environment, and like you get just good funny writing out of it. So I guess the next thing to talk about would be the gameplay. And so far I am really enjoying the gameplay of this game, and I'm not really one who typically likes turn-based RPGs. I usually tend to find them very boring. I can't really stick with them for very long. But so far, the Star Rail combat has been really enjoyable. It's very reminiscent of Epic 7, which I played for like a year and a half, I think. But thankfully, without all of the BS that completely ruins Epic 7. I really like the weakness system, because I feel like the weakness system is going to be this mechanic that naturally encourages players to build a diverse roster of characters as they progress through the game. And that's nice to see. Because plenty of gacha games out there will just like do something that straight up forces the player to build a large roster of characters. Like a common example of this would be games that have like big like mono team bonuses, where it's like, oh, if you run a full team of fire characters, you get this massive bonus, right? So of course, like the whole like meta of the game revolves around running mono element teams to take advantage of those huge bonuses, like the resonance system in Genshin, but on steroids, right? But Star Rail doesn't have anything like that. So I really like that it has this mechanic that feels like it more naturally pushes the player towards building a very large, diverse roster, rather than just forcing them to. I also really like how ultimates work in this game. I love that, like, once they're charged, you can just use them at any time, interrupting, like, just cutting into the turn order whenever you want with your ultimate. It really helps to make the combat more exciting, because you're not just sitting around waiting for your character's turns to come around. You're always like paying attention to your ultimate energy, you know, and if you get attacked and it charges your ultimate, you can cut into enemy turns, use your ultimate. It's a lot of fun. And Star Rail also like has more endgame content than Genshin does with the simulated universe. So first off, you have I think it's called Forgotten Hall, which is essentially the exact same thing as Spiral Abyss. And I don't really care too much about that. I never liked Spiral Abyss. I'm probably not going to care too much about Forgotten Hall. But there's also Simulated Universe, which is a lot more fun. You know, it's essentially like your kind of like roguelike mode where you get buffs after doing fights and blah blah blah. It's hard to say whether or not I'll continue to enjoy it by the time I reach endgame, but as of right now, I feel like Simulated Universe is a game mode that I could keep playing repeatedly for fun. Especially once I get to the point where I have a lot more characters and they're all built up. You know, taking different teams into different worlds and taking different buffs. there's definitely potential there. So there's one more thing I want to talk about that is like semi-spoilery as a game mechanic. And that is how your main character gets new abilities in this game. So the MC of this game, which I don't even know what to call them. So far I've just kind of been calling them the MC. Because like in Genshin you have the Traveler, but in this game your character is like I don't know, there's not really a name or title for them. So I'll just call him the MC. But anyways, so the way your MC gets new powers in this game is so freaking cool. And is a million times better than in Genshin. Because in Genshin, as you know, as I'm sure you know, you just walk up to a statue of the Seven, you touch it with a Traveler, you get a new element. And it probably sucks. I think Dendro Traveler was decent, but... And like Animo Traveler is good at the beginning of the game, but I mean like everything's good at the beginning of the game, so does that really mean much? But in general, the Traveler has been pretty mediocre. But the MC in this game seems to be actually good. And instead of just touching a statue to gain new powers, it's actually like tied into the story really well, and it's like done in a very awesome cinematic way that's really cool. And it makes me wish that Genshin had also done something like this instead of it just being as boring and kind of lame as it is. And not only is the way you get new abilities way cooler, but they even have the extra quality of life. Again, another huge quality of life thing that Star Rail has over Genshin that they just don't do anything about in Genshin, is that when you want to switch elements in Star Rail, you just go into your menu and do it at any time. Whereas in Genshin, you have to put the Traveler in your party and go to a statue of the Seven of the region that you want the element of and touch it and resonate with it. Like, it's so cumbersome and tedious. And so glad in this game you can just go into your menu and just switch. Like, that's how it should have been in Genshin. One thing I will say I'm a little disappointed in, though, is that there's no kind of, like, co-op gameplay in the game at all. I hope that that's something they add in the future, some kind of, like, co-op gameplay. Because right now, it's like, there's a friend system in the game, but it's mostly pointless. Like, you can just use friend supports. I think you can only use them in things that you spend your resin on. And that's it. Like, basically just the normal farming stuff. So right now, the whole friend system seems really pointless. I hope they have some kind of co-op in the future, because I think it'd be really cool to have, like, a co-op game mode where you get, like, 4 players. They each have one character to form a party together, and you each control your own character. It could be kind of a mess because of the skill point system, you know, where, like, I'm sure everyone's going to want to hog all the skill points for themselves, but I hope it's something they try to do at some point anyway. So I guess for one last thing to talk about would be, like, do I have any plans to do, like, future Star Rail videos? And I probably will in the future start doing, like Let's Play gameplay videos where I play through the story. Just starting with whatever they start adding in the future in, like, 1.1 or whatever. So if they do, like, special programs for Star Rail, like how they do for Genshin, I don't think I'm going to be doing reactions to those like I do for Genshin. I'm probably not even going to watch them. And that's mainly because, like, I'm just enjoying the story and the experience of Star Rail so much. I kind of just want to stay, like, as spoiler-free as possible. So, like, I don't even really want to watch, like, update trailer videos and whatnot for Star Rail. Anyway, I think that's everything I have to say about Star Rail for the moment. So, until next time, I will see you later.